Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back again to another segment on Cannon Fodder TV. Apparently, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. I've got my good friend James Rowe here. We're going to be talking about some Champions League football, I think. Yeah, we are.
Yes, and I always enjoy speaking about European football, my bread and butter, of course, and playing in the country which I call home, the Netherlands, of course, and playing a team which have also already qualified for the last 16. And, just for the honour, if you like, because we will remain in first place and PSV will remain in second. But we are facing a team, Alex, that have won every single domestic game they've played this season. They've won 15 out of 15. And they look on course for a title already. And they're a much more mature PSV side than the team that beat us in Eindhoven last October. So we have to be aware and also use this as a little bit of a marker, because our away form in Europe has not been great in recent seasons. And going into the last 16, where the away leg will be key, we've got to kind of show ourselves that we can deal with it. So tomorrow is a very useful exercise, in my opinion.
Yeah, James, I know we're going to be covering very quickly the game against Aston Villa, but knowing that we've qualified already, would you go in there with a weakened team against PSV, or would you go literally strong 11?
I wouldn't go weakened because I don't see how that will benefit Arsenal. What I would do is, in the last 16, we are going to face a really tough opponent. So try to get players that have maybe not necessarily played in European competition that we might need in the last 16, try to give them game time. It's not so much resting the stars in inverted commas, but it's going to be a collective effort in the last 16, because Arsenal will have the second leg at home. There's no away goals that we've succumbed to against the likes of Bayern Munich and Monaco in recent years with the Champions League. So the dynamic will be completely different. But I would play what I would call a seasoned team to get ready for the last 16, because we will be doing a show next week speaking about who Arsenal face and giving our reaction to the draw, and also going through the Champions League draw. And regardless of who we will play, it's going to be tough, and we've got to be ready. So I would play a seasoned team tomorrow.
Okay, brilliant. Well, like I said, we are going to be covering now the game 1-0 for the Villa on Saturday. A well-worked goal from John McGill. And James, your thoughts?
My first thought was, this is the third time we've been shown up by Senor Unai Emery since he's left. And it's a bit like a game show, isn't it? You know, you remember The Price is Right and Generation Game? You know, here's what you could have won. Well, that's what we've been confronted with 3 times. The first time was the Europa League semi-final in Villarreal against Unai Emery. We lost 2-1, and then the second time was the draw 0-0 at the Emirates, which secured their place in the final and not ours. And then this is the third one. So what Unai Emery is showing us every single time, you know, what could you have achieved if I would have stayed? I'll tell you what we would have achieved. We would have achieved the league title, and we would have made progress in Europe. And we might not have won the Champions League, but we would have made progress. I was at that season where we reached our first European final for the first time in 13 years under Unai Emery. I missed 2 home games that season against Qarabag and Valencia in the semi-final. I attended the rest from Amsterdam, I might add. And it was so enjoyable to see that journey. You know, Voska Potara, Sporting Lisbon, Bati Borisov, Rennes, Napoli. And to see us reach that final. And this is a tournament he's won 4 times, but yet he didn't win it with us. You know, he picked a team in Baku that he thought was going to win it. It's not his fault that Ozil throws a strop, is it? When he gets subbed off for a reason. I thought that, Chelsea were better that night. Olivier Giroud, who people would call a lamppost, and now he's never going to win your league title. Well, he's won the Champions League in Serie A since he's left Arsenal. So it just shows what some fans supposedly know. you know, I would have kept him and sold Lacazette. But again, I'm not in charge of Arsenal. You know, it would be a real throwback for Arsenal. So at the end of this season, if we do end up trophyless, and then Arteta should receive his marching orders, as I've been saying the entire season, no trophy, no job. It would be really noble of Arsenal to say, right, Unai, we made a huge mistake by succumbing to fan pressure, which is an epidemic in this day and age, when we should have kind of battened down the hatches and showed how much we think of you. Here's a 5-year deal and you see it out regardless. But Arsenal's changed now.
Yeah.
They'll put out a statement backing Arteta for criticising referees. You know, the great Brian Clough never did that, did he? You know, I always think managers that criticise referees, they need to see their own shortcomings. And one thing that's really important, can Arteta's technical area be fenced off? Can we fence it off? Can we put like a barrier there so he can't go outside of it? And then for him to say as well, I don't know what I did and I can't stop it. Well, a 3-match ban, a 5-match ban, a 7-match ban, maybe the penny will drop. But once again, he started his professional career, Alex, at the 3rd biggest football club in the whole of England. The only clubs that are bigger than Arsenal are Manchester United and Liverpool, especially with what they've won in Europe, and they've won more league titles than what we have. Where do you think you're going to go after Arsenal? This isn't Championship Manager where you just press spacebar or you just download the app. This is real life. And if you think of Raya and Ramsdale, one doesn't know literally whether they are coming or going. Literally. He's arranged that. He's made such a decision, you know, and it's just completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. And I just think that the narrative is we've got Mikel. Well, I'd rather have Unai, but I'd rather have a manager who knows what his best starting 11 is. And I'd rather have a manager who's been significantly experienced to take on the Arsenal job. The Arsenal job needs to be a coveted job. We're not a charity. We may well be a fashion club in this day and age with a training range every single week and 4 kits that we expect people in Britain struggling to pay for. You know, but we are a football club that's won 47 major honours. Are we going to forget that now? We just put that by the wayside. And I just think that it's a massive season, and the FA Cup as well. What if we get knocked out of the FA Cup? What are you going to say? Oh, we're gunning for the league. We're gunning for the Champions League. Okay, what happens if we don't win any of them? That's a 4th consecutive season, no trophy, massive amounts of investment, and still no proof that Mikel Arteta can win with his own players because the job's too big for him. That's why.
But James,
so it's going to be really interesting.
But James, what about those who might say to you that year on year, Mikel Arteta has improved Arsenal? He's got rid of the deadwoods, Ozil, Aubameyang.
What deadwood is that?
Well, I'm just saying. They might say, well, troublemakers in Ozil, Aubameyang.
I take your point. I take your point. Aubameyang wasn't necessarily dead wood. The biggest marker against Aubameyang was attitude. I saw him walk off Unai Emery's last game at half-time because I watched him. I was at Unai Emery's last game at home to Frankfurt in November 2019. I watched him walk off the pitch laughing. But the keeper in front of him, Renault, is an excellent goalkeeper who made 3 or 4 amazing saves to keep it at, I think it was 1-0 at half-time, if memory serves. And they scored 2 goals in the second half. What I would say is this is real-life football. We're now in a world, Alex, where it's as if fans are being conditioned to think a certain way. Well, I maintain that your eyes do not lie. Or your ears do not lie. If you are an opera lover or a football lover or a music lover or a wine lover, you know what you know. You can't be fooled. But it's as if now they're trying to condition fans to think a certain way, to never criticise, to never question. What, can you not do that as a fan then? I remember being on the North Bank when Arsenal were losing 4-2 at home to Charlton in November 2001. And I remember shouting out at the top of my lungs to Arsene Wenger from the North Bank, "You've had 6 years, Arsene. How are we going to go forward now?" Sliding doors moments. We lost that game to Charlton. They was amazing. They was amazing. I remember being at European games. I remember being at away games. It's been my life's work, upon which 68 games from Amsterdam. I've interviewed players and managers, Alex, but it's always been a professional relationship. You've got people now saying, "I've got links with the club." Have they got links with the club? Or have they got links with the guy who works for the club who's kind of doing them a favour? But that's, it's as if the image is now more important than the knowledge, where maybe I'm a little bit old-fashioned. I know an awful lot, but I will always try to educate people because this is a world game, and football has evolved now where it's as if statistics are becoming the most important factor when the most important factor is man management.
Yeah, absolutely, James. So when are we going to get to see the majority of the media, our fan base, show Unai Emery some real respect? And I'm not sure what else does he have to do to get the respect. What else does he have to do, James?
I think if McGinn lifts the title in May, what are you going to do then? If it's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? And then what are you going to do then? What are you going to do then? They've got more points at this stage than what Leicester had when they won it. Is that not an interesting fact? They're all buying into his ethos. He's got nobody knocking down the changing room door like he had at Raul and Edu. In theory, as soon as Edu and Raul Signelli walked through the door, Unai Emery should have resigned. There's a famous story with Fatih Terim at Fiorentina. He gets them to the Coppa Italia final and the chairman and president wants to come in. And Fatih Terim says, "You take one step over this threshold, I'm resigning." And the chairman did it and Fatih Terim resigned. Fiorentina went on to win the cup, which they then attributed to Fatih Terim. But in theory, Unai Emery should have resigned then. To say, "I want Wilfried Zaha," and you get given Nicolas Pepe. To say, "I want Fabinho," and you get given Torreira, who did well, I must say. But our fans have very short and very selective memories. It's as if they're more concerned with their own individual image than the actual benefit of watching the football club. As I say, I've watched the club over nearly 70 times from the Netherlands alone, never mind the time that I would watch the club when I was living in the UK before I emigrated. So I've seen an awful lot, and I can recount and recall an awful lot. And it's not about me, but I will not change my opinion. I will not change my opinion the same way that next Monday when we talk about the Champions League, you watch regardless of draw how confident Arsenal will be. But I'll put this to you now. Any team facing Arsenal in the last 16, given Arsenal's record in the Champions League, is that team going to be scared?
Well, it's a big fat no.
But why would you be? Why would you be? And I don't. You can't pick and choose. But I tell you now, if we end up with Real Sociedad in particular, it is good night Vienna. It pains me to say it, but if we play Real Sociedad over 2 legs, I'm telling you now, they'll knock us out. And it will be shades of Monaco, where we'll beat this mob tonight, 4-0. You've got to be joking. If Real Sociedad avoid defeat tomorrow in the San Siro, they would have topped their group with last year's finalists, last year's Portuguese champions, and the champions of Austria and Salzburg. They would have topped. This is a team who were 21 years ago, they would only pick from the Basque region. It's akin to Arsenal only picking players from North London. So the rule that Real Sociedad relinquished, which Athletic Bilbao still have, that's a hell of an achievement. A hell of an achievement. And, if we do draw at Real Sociedad next Monday, I will move heaven and earth to try and go to the home game, but I will have my tongue firmly in my cheek for the whole 90 minutes, saying, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. So it'll be really interesting indeed.
Yeah, but we've spoken many times, James, about where Mikel Arteta's career lies, at the end of this season. And I'm going to say, no matter what happens, James, I've said this before, the board, they won't be looking to show him the exit door.
Right.
I think the fact that they came out and supported him when they had that massive rant, about the refereeing and VAR, to me, it speaks volumes. He's not going anywhere. I understand what you're saying. But it should be the fact that he's not won any major honors this season, because he's been backed, financially, by the boards, the players. At the end of the day, as an Arsenal supporter of many years, James, I want to see my club go for major honors, and if it means Premier League, Champions League, then so be it. Because we demand so much with that level of investment, James. We demand so much, but it's not going to happen, James. It's not going to happen.
Well, if such a thing does not happen, Alex, I ask, what does the club now represent? They appear. They also. I want to make one thing also clear. I'm delighted with the progression of the women's game. Fantastic, brilliant. I've spoken to Beth Mead before, who scored today. It was also at Sunderland in the past. But I get the impression that Arsenal now, they're veering towards more effort and attention on the women's game than the men's game. Now, you would think that you would have to concentrate on both, but be aware, one has been around since 1886, and the other one has not been around for very long at all. Yes, the women's game has made fantastic strides, but they're also having to make up for a lot of lost time, and that will take multiple generations. It will not happen in the blink of an eye, no matter how much you want it to. And when I go to the site now, it's as if there's more emphasis on the women's game. Like, for example, the men's game lost. The men's team lost. The women's game won. And it's more about what the women did. Okay, but the club that's been around since Dial Square 1886, they lost last weekend against a manager who should still be with us. But first step is admitting when you've made a mistake. And I go on record again. I also said the same to his former assistant, Imanol Idiakis. I'm highly embarrassed at the way Arsenal Football Club treated Unai Emery. And I'm delighted for Aston Villa. Aston Villa's, our loss is Aston Villa's gain. And I think they will win the Conference League this season. I'm not sure if they will win the Premier League. I think they will win the Conference League. And we might end up empty-handed, and what will that show? But again, everyone has their own opinions. The fact remains, nobody can take my memories away from me. Everything that I've experienced, especially at a European level. I remember seeing PSV against Arsenal in the Champions League in November 2002 at Highbury, a 0-0 draw. I remember the PSV fans smuggling a Tottenham flag in the away end and waving it around as if they was all maniacs. And as I say, my memories in this respect, I don't have to shout from the rooftops because I've done it. I'm fortunately in a position where I can pick and choose what games I go to, and I want to give back to my fellow fan. But I just get the impression now we're kind of forgetting what we are to try and compensate for the fact we don't win anything. And I think that's very, very dangerous.
Yeah. Let me go into the live chat for the first time. And I've got somebody called Neo. He says, "Hi, Alex. It's me, Arsenal Vetzel. I do remember you with my new persona. How are you, my friend? I am fine. Thank you very much. Emerson says, good evening, Alex and James. Good evening to you. Static is also another moderator. Here's one. Right. So he says, so many dodgy decisions yet again. VAR robbed Arsenal constantly. James.
Well, if he's talking about Havertz's goal, Havertz's boot goes to the knee of the defender, and you can't kick your way into the goal, can you? And VAR was brought in to help referees. But I will put this to you: if you watch very closely, how many wingers now? It's as if they're aiming the ball to hit the arm of a defender, and claiming a handball. It's as if they're aiming it like a golfer tees up a shot. So it's no longer a ball in the box for the striker to head or score the goal. It's like, I'm going to try and aim it at his forearm and I'll get a VAR call. No, the rules of the game are hand to ball, not ball to hand. So it's becoming very, very grey. And, the fact remains, if Arsenal don't win a trophy this year, it won't be down to VAR. It will be down to the fact that we are not good enough in the vital moments. And it's going to be really, really interesting.
Monty, again, another moderator says, welcome on, Alex and James, and a kind of to your family. Monty, I hope you're keeping well. Monty supports, as well as Arsenal, he supports Luton Town. Luton Town.
Gave us a big scare, didn't they?
They did indeed.
I thought Barkley had a very good game. I thought Townsend had a very good game. And, the journey they've been on, we live in a world of statistics, floggers, YouTube, stats galore. Well, Luton went from the bottom of the pyramid to the top of the pyramid inside a decade.
Incredible.
Massive achievement.
Yeah.
And it needs to be lauded. And, whether they stay up or whether they don't, they're making a good fist of it. And, to be leading the top two last season and not being able to close it out is massive. Massive kudos to them. But it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And I'm hopeful of being at the home game in April. And that's a bit of a way off, but I'm hoping that will be my second game this season at home at the Emirates. And they're doing really well. So testament to how well Luton are doing.
Right. Neil goes on to say, is James related to Emil Smith Rowe by any chance? No, James is not.
No, we're not related. I've had to bat that question away on many occasions, but we are not related. One is a professional footballer, the other one is an Arsenal fan who lives in Amsterdam, and that's it.
Static says, facts, James, but let's be honest. Arteta should never had the job in the first place.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree. And what I would say is that we need to come together as fan base. We need to come together. We really do, because this isn't about the chosen few. This isn't about the TikTokers. This isn't about the YouTubers. This is about Arsenal Football Club. And we've all got special memories, which nobody can take away from us. And they mustn't be diluted. For the Arsenal fan that goes 15 times a year, for the Arsenal fan that goes once, they're special memories. I mean, I would prioritise European games. And I've seen almost 35 European games in my life as an Arsenal fan. Grateful that Arsenal have been in Europe for such a long time, but I would always forsake domestic games to try and get to that European game. And the Lens game was a fantastic experience. I enjoyed every minute of it, and I've got a feeling that I'll be there at the home leg of the Champions League game, but it will be very dependent on the draw, because what I want to do is I want to give something back to my fellow fan. I've been fortunate enough, Alex, to see AC Milan at the Emirates in the Champions League against Arsenal, to see Napoli at the Emirates in the quarter-final of the Europa League, and Atletico in the semi-final of the Europa League, respectively. So if we draw any of those, I want to give back to my fellow fan. But if we draw a Real Sociedad or a Leipzig or Galatasaray, then I don't think wild horses will keep me away.
Static goes on to say that Arsenal dominated, but Emery knew exactly what he was doing. He had the
Yeah,
perfect game plan, and Arteta fell for it big time. Well done, Aston Villa.
absolutely. And our loss is their gain. And it's also great for the city of Birmingham as well. Worldwide, a lot of people think Manchester's the second city. Birmingham has the nickname for second city, and it's about time that one of their clubs came hard. And for them to have won 15 home games in a row, a year ago they was teetering on the relegation zone. And what a difference a year makes in football when you are fully backed. There's no Villa fans mocking his accent, is there? There's no Villa fans even discussing his linguistic ability because they're in awe of his managerial ability. We become so desperate to force any kind of change that we had to kind of have a go at his linguistic ability through people that have no command of any other language. So what are you doing? And for the club to have put pay to that, I mean, I will still never forget. I took the train up. I had a double header. I was at Unai Emery's last game against Frankfurt. The following day, I took a train up from Liverpool Street in London to Norwich for the game at Carrow Road. And when I got into my hotel door and I connected to the internet and I saw that Unai Emery had gone, my heart sank. My heart sank. And we're 4.5 years on now. And no, we're 4 years on, going what will be 4.5 years. Yeah. And how much time have we wasted? How much time have we wasted? We would have won one league title, I'm sure of it. But once again, our loss is Aston Villa's game, and well done to them.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure whether Neo's joking here, but he says that Arteta is a great manager. Really? In order to be a great manager, you've had to have won major honours. By the way, he is a student of Pep. And sorry, go on.
And Pep is a student of who? Johan Cruyff. Cruyff was a student of who? Michels. Michels was a student of who? Buckingham. So it's not just Pep. This way started with an Englishman, Vic Buckingham, who managed Ajax. And then Cruyff was influenced by that. Michels was influenced by that in particular. So one kind of alters the other. And I will go on record once again for the umpteenth time as someone who has seen, as of Thursday night when I go to Ajax against AEK Athens in the Europa League, I would have seen 188 professional football teams in my life, different professional football teams. Not talking about matches, because I've seen English teams on multiple occasions. 188 professional football teams I've seen play live. And I will go on record again and say that once again, there is no professional team on earth who has the obligation nor the ability to play the game exactly the same way. There's a great quote from Otto Rehhagel, who managed the Greece team that won Euro 2004. And he says the following: if people were going to football and they were told beforehand, in the 10th minute there'll be a goal, in the 80th minute it'll be a penalty, an equaliser, and it will finish a 1-1 draw, nobody would go. We go to football because it's exciting, because it's unpredictable, and it's as if now we're trying to take that unpredictability away because they're not playing out from the back. Well, why should they play out from the back? If they got an obligation to do so, they've just got promoted for crying out loud. So you expect a championship side to come to the Premier League and play out from the back? What world do you live in? But because they're told playing out from the back, I couldn't give a monkeys about playing out from the back. There's a player I'm going to see on Thursday. His name's Damogaj Vida. Helped Croatia get to a World Cup semi-final, a Nations League final, made great progress in Europe as well, and brilliant defender. Has won domestic titles in Croatia, in the Ukraine, and in Greece. I think he's a brilliant player. I'm looking for. I believe he's the number 21 of AEK Athens. So I'm going to be watching him closely on Thursday, But as I said on this platform before, Alex, as well, this isn't a popularity contest. I'm sure there's lots of people watching tonight that follow certain players that think, oh, he's a good player. Well, stick with him then. Again, Mark Albrighton's one of the best footballers I've ever seen. He's one of my favourites. Benjamin Borgio at Rennes, Alfonso Pedraza at Villarreal, Ricardo Esgaio at Sporting, Jonathan Grandi at Lens. These are footballers I've seen with my own eyes that I really, really like. I don't need a YouTuber or a Sky Sports statistician to tell me, yeah, his turnovers were 3.1, his XG was 5.9. Could not give a monkeys about that rubbish. Could not give a monkeys about it. I know with my own eyes that Mark Albrighton is a brilliant footballer. And it is an absolute disgrace that Mark Albrighton has never played for England. Honestly, it's a travesty. Benjamin Borgio, I've been watching him for 4 years. Nobody's picked him up. Alfonso Pedraza, when I saw him, people were like, who's he? Never heard of him. He's now a Spanish international. So again, my eyes don't lie. I know a good footballer when I see one. And I'm not swayed by XG or surface level goal contributions or pre-assists. Chuck all that jargon in the bin. There's a great quote from Bill Shankly, and he says the following: big men use words to confuse people. They'll go onto a platform and they'll say words that only half the people watching will understand. Well, we don't. We use the language that everybody understands. Instead of saying somebody was avaricious, I would say that they're bloody greedy. This is what he said in the 70s. In the 70s. So I put a call out to the people who watch me on this show and watch you on Cannon Fodder and enjoy my opinions and my facts. And I'm grateful to make so many people happy. I'm delighted. I'll put a call to arms to say, pay no attention to the jargon. Chuck it in the bin because you don't need it. I would much rather a football fan, an Arsenal fan watching us, watching me. I will put a call to arms to tell that person, whoever they may be, whether it be a man, woman or child, your opinion is valid. What you think is correct. Do not be swayed by jargon. Put all the XG, pre-assist, surface level goal contribution rubbish, chuck it in the bin because that's completely irrelevant. What is important is your opinion and you stick with it.
Wow, James. Wow, my goodness. Wow. Very good. Monty says, James is spot on, as always. Arsenal treat their supporters as cash cows. Just look at the amount of merchandise being put out. We've said that so many times, haven't we, James?
Yeah, in a time where money is tight, in a first world country, one food bank is one too many. And for Arsenal to be charging double what they would charge 30 years ago, to have kits, all the colours of the rainbow, that have no relation to Arsenal Football Club. All you need is a little bit of willpower. As I've said on multiple occasions, I stopped buying shirts 15 seasons ago. For me, a match day program and a ticket stub or a QR code now is enough for me. I will go to the ends of the earth to get my program, but in terms of a new kit, forget it. And Arsenal, they love to talk about climate change. Okay, but how the kit turnover, what do you think that's contributing to climate change then?
I would like to get.
You kind of see through them a little bit. They'll talk about fill up your water bottle. Okay, fine. But why not try and be trailblazers? Why not at the end of this season say, ladies and gentlemen, Arsenal's new home kit for the next 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Arsenal's away kit, yellow and blue, I might add, for the next 3 years. And by the way, we don't have a third kit because it's highly unlikely that we will, with those colours, face a kit clash. And if we do, we will find the solution for that game.
Well said, James. Well said. Neo says, I agree with James. Money, money, money. Static says, James, sorry. I double checked. It's actually 49 major trophies won by Arsenal. 2 European trophies previously that now don't exist do officially count in the record books. But I tell you what, Static, before James responds, James is like a football encyclopedia. He does not need to go to Google and check the stats.
I do not. And the 47 was also from the website, having researched it at the start of the season. I'm always happy to be corrected in any way, shape, or form, because it's a game of opinions, and for trophies to be defunct. And talking about defunct, again, our Champions League debut was not against Lens. Our Champions League debut was against Strom Gazette in September of 71. But that appears to be forgotten, doesn't it? We reached the quarterfinals in our maiden voyage of the competition we're talking about now. But again, that's not spoken about, is it? And how disingenuous do you need to be to the double winners? I mean, I often wonder if we'd have won that competition, would they be cast into the shadows like they are now? Because, Lens was not our debut in the Champions League. Our debut in the Champions League was Strom Gazette, and then Grasshopper Zurich, and then we were beaten in the quarterfinal by the mighty Ajax in the 71-72 season. It's no shame to lose to the eventual winners, who were winning their second of 3 Champions Leagues. So just goes to show. But wouldn't it be typical Arsenal to win it at the last knockout? It's the hope that kills you.
Neil says, Alex, your shows are always really good. Thank you for that. I want to be on one once I sort out my channel set up. No problem. Just there's no rush. There's no rush. Just, my email. I've sent you. I think you've got the email. It's in the description box. So when you're ready, by all means, we're looking to always grow the pool of contributors. But James is not going anywhere. He's with us.
I've signed a long-term contract to speak about European football on a one-to-one basis.
There you go. Right, James, there's a question here for you from from Emerson, and he says, for James, what are your thoughts of 2 or 3 academy players in the squad against PSV tomorrow?
First and foremost, I think it's a really good point, and it can't do any harm. It can't do any harm to give them that experience. Maybe not in the starting lineup, but have them on the bench. Give them a taste of what European football is. They're going up against a team that's won every single domestic game they've played this season. They've got 15 out of 15. They've got 45 points. They've got a goal difference of plus 46. So it's going to be tough. But give them that experience, because we're going to need the collective in the last 16, because we can't have stage fright. If you look at the potential opponents, Galatasaray, Istanbul, Napoli, Naples, Real Sociedad, San Sebastian, just trying to think of another one, FC Porto in Porto. These are not easy places to go. And we're going to need that experience, because the draw, we're going to be speaking about the draw next Monday. The draw will be made, but the game won't be played until February. So we're going to get a lot of comments next Monday.
Yeah.
And you watch how many times I will have to reiterate that the game is played in February and March. People will pick. They will say, Real Sociedad, they're currently 5th. Napoli, they're currently almost mid-table. Yeah, currently. But when we come to play them, what changes would they have made? So it's going to be really, really interesting. And as I say, I don't need no Google, no. All that experience, but it's part of the fun. It's part of the fun. We're in a world where you can look up anything in 2 seconds. But this is what I say about experience and feeling it. I still can't quite believe, as a 18-year-old going on 19-year-old, that I managed to get to 7 of the 12 Champions League games that Arsenal played in the 2002-2003 season. And I can't believe, as a 40-year-old, that I've managed to see 33 Euro away in my life as a Gooner. I count my blessings, but I've seen those things with my own eyes. I've not been told what it's like. I was there. And that means the world to me. So let's hope that the European journey isn't over in the last 16 for yours truly. But once again, I will be very selective.
All right, last few comments. And Monty says, James, nice one. Thank you, James, for your kind words on Luton Town.
Yeah, should we speak about
yeah.
what happened in 88? Or don't people know about that? I think we should put the cherry on the top and just say to people who don't know, we were beaten in the League Cup final by Luton Town in 88. And we were 1-0 up in that game, and Mr. Winterburn missed a penalty. And I believe was it Brian Steen scored for Luton, I think?
Brian Steen, absolutely. Yeah.
We don't need no Google, but it's about making a fellow contributor happy by not just saying good words about Luton, but also reminding people watching they won a major trophy at our expense.
Well, one more from Monty, who says, we are so fortunate to have James as a contributor on the channel.
Thank you very much.
Just one more, I think, from the assembly. It says, a question or observation. Do you think it is possible Arsenal could go for a Brojan at Chelsea? He has everything, just back from long-term injury, between 35 and 40 million pounds. He's tall, plus the added bonus, he is from Chelsea. James, your thoughts?
Well, someone coming back from injury, you have to be careful. Chelsea, I don't rate their manager. And I think they're in a bit of a sticky wicket, really. They've got so many players, which another thing needs to be said about the player welfare. You know, you can't stockpile players. You know, what happens to a player when they don't play? They become disillusioned with the game. You know, Noni Madueke, who played for PSV, is also at Chelsea, but can hardly get a game. At PSV, he was pulling up trees and doing really, really well. So, you know, you can't plan a career. You can have hopes, dreams and ambitions, but you can't plan a career. So I would say that there's many, many good players out there. If I was to pick one player who I would love Arsenal to sign, it would be Alfonso Pedraza of Villarreal for his tactical ability, for his attitudes and for his stamina. I think he could really add something to Arsenal, but I'm sure people will say, who's he? Well, he's a player who I clocked 3 years ago with number 24 at Villarreal, and he's a brilliant footballer. And people will say, oh, he was at Leeds United and didn't do very well. Okay, but he came back to Spain at Real Betis, more than 50 games. Villarreal, more than 100 games, I believe now, and a brilliant footballer.
Brilliant. And you know what? We've actually come to an end on this latest segment where we spoke about Champions League. Arsenal back in Champions League action against PSV. And we reviewed very, very quickly Aston Villa and Unai Emery. Congratulations to Unai Emery. I wish you were our manager. But
here. Makes two of us. But football works in mysterious ways. I'll put this to you. People talk about the football gods. Mikel Arteta is from the Basque Country. Has links with Real Sociedad. I believe he was also in their youth academy, I believe. Wouldn't it just be like the football gods for Arsenal to draw Real Sociedad? Say, Mikel, you thought you were like Icarus, you could fly too close to the sun. Well, here are the boys from your own backyard, your own people, your own region, to show you that it's not about people know the story about the tortoise and the hare. It's not about how fast you can run. And it wouldn't surprise me if the football gods put pay to that. And then Arteta might realise that maybe I should have started lower down and worked my way up to the Arsenal job.
James, I might just put some money down on that.
I look forward to, regardless of who we draw next Monday, I will look forward to speaking at length about the opponent. But with Real Sociedad, it will be very bittersweet because I've never seen them play live. I've been to their stadium for a walk around it when I was in San Sebastian. It's a beautiful stadium. Right slap bang in the middle of town. But the football gods have a habit of bringing up ties like this. But if Real Sociedad, if they secure that point in the San Siro tomorrow night they finish first and we can't play them. So maybe the narrative is postponed for a little while yet.
Yeah, brilliant. And you know what? We have actually come to an end on this one. James, it's been a pleasure. But we are going to be back next week, Monday, reviewing the draws for the last 16. Is that right, James?
That's correct. We'll be speaking the same time next Monday to discuss Arsenal's draw, but also go through the other 8 ties as well. You know, this isn't Arsenal with Champions League. This is Arsenal in the Champions League for, I think, the 25th time. The last time before this tournament gets changed to a Super League in everything but name. Once again, people don't seem to understand the dynamics changing, where it will be a Super League in everything but name. So this is our last chance to win it. So let's embrace it. And I'm looking forward to next Monday. And regardless of who we play, I look forward to discussing them and speaking about the other ties and seeing what will happen.
Brilliant. So that's it. You will see me, I forgot now, on Friday for the Easy Talk. I'm not sure who we're going to have, but make sure you tune in this Friday, 7:30 p.m. UK time for the Easy Talk. But until then, this is Alex and James. Another live show on Canon 4 TV, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.